15, my family moved us to a small town in Idaho, and it was sort of a move that was, the purpose was sort of to keep me and my sister out of trouble. And I think they had a hunch that I was trouble because I was really, well, because they were smart and they were parents, but also I was really into sort of expressing my troublesome identity through my clothing choices. And which, when you move to a small town in Idaho where there's just not a lot of diversity in like the way that the high schoolers appear, it makes you stand out right away and have a hard time making friends. I had like these combat boots that I'd like kick the toes off at Lollapalooza 93 Shoreline. And they had like tape back on, and I had like baby doll dresses and these like bleach blonde dreadlocks with a lot of like flair in them. And so I showed up at this small town high school and walked in, and I had a really hard time fitting in, and it was really lonesome until one day I went to band class where I played the bassoon. That was like how far my like need to be different extended. This girl in band class gave me a mixtape and said that there was this guy who had a crush on me, and that was like I really needed a win. That felt really good. And I was 100% obsessed with the band Bikini Kill, and if you're not familiar, they're like a feminist punk rock band, and I was particularly obsessed with the lead singer, whose name was Kathleen Hanna, and this mix had a lot of Bikini Kill on it, and I was like, he knows me. I don't know him, but he knows me. And so I met him, and he was, I was so young, and he was not so young. He was 20, which, like, when you're 15, it seems cool, and then you're 20, and you're like, ee. He was 20, and I was 15, and I met him, and he, like, was missing a tooth, and drove a truck, and was, like, way into Bikini Kill, so I was really in love with him. And so I started spending a lot of time with him, and I started sneaking out at night, and then, like, sneaking back in. Like, I'd meet him at the Circle K gas station, and we'd, like, drink a lot of, like, the little flavored creamers together, and then, like, then I'd sneak back in. It was really romantic. And I started spending a ton of time together. So my mom did what a parent would do in the early 90s when you can't Google people. She went to there was a university in town, and she went to the library, and she looked him up on the microfiche. And she came back, and she was like, Renee, I have to show you something. So we went back to the university library, and like that was like, some of you guys remember that like kind of magical whirring sound of the microfiche. So we like were whirring through the microfiche, and then this picture like sprung into the frame, and it was this picture of this, I'm gonna call him a man now, this man that I was in a relationship with. And he was on his knees with his hands behind his head in front of his house with a police officer behind him holding a gun at him. And there was this headline that was like, standoff in front of the mayor's house, or something like that. He and his friends had like stolen a gun and then like shot out the windows of the mayor's house, and it was, maybe they stole the gun from the mayor, I don't know. There was mayors and guns and shooting, and like I was like way over my head, like I don't know. So my mom was obviously worried, and I was totally convinced she was overreacting. So I decided I needed to spend more time with this man. And so I decided to move in with him, which, because school wasn't really doing anything for me anyways. And so I moved in with him, which meant also he had a roommate. He had a roommate who like, it kind of makes like Gland Man look like Child's Play. Yeah. His roommate was actually named Dirty Dong. And his, like, to the extent that like this person's mother would call on the phone and be like, hey, is Dirty Dong there? Like, he was that dirty. And so I was living with this man and with Dirty Dong in a basement apartment, not going to high school, with like this criminal person. And so my parents called the police, because part of like shooting out mayor's windows is that afterwards you have to be on probation. And like you probably shouldn't be dating 15-year-olds. So whatever, love, right? It's the corner of love and sex. What are you gonna do? And so the police show up one morning. We're in our little love sex corner. And the police show up and bang on the door, and the only experience that I have with police coming to doors is what I read in the newspaper, that like you're supposed to have a standoff, apparently. So I like run down the hallway. I run down the hallway, and the only door open is Dirty Dong's door. And Dirty Dong is out of town, and so I run and I like do this like baseball slide on the floor under Dirty Dong's bed, which I'm just gonna let you imagine what's going on under Dirty Dong's bed. So I'm like laying on my stomach under Dirty Dong's bed, like panting. And the cops come in and they look for me, and it was like a cartoon. They like pulled me out by my ankles, and I swiffered up like all essence of Dirty Dong. And I got pulled right out of that corner. And it was like a totally different corner of love and sex going on there. And I got pulled out. The guy I was dating went to jail, and I was totally devastated. I didn't know what to do, so I called upon the only person I felt like I could really turn to in this situation, who was Kathleen Hanna, the lead singer of Bikini Kill. So I wrote her this long letter of just how unjust this was and how deeply the patriarchy was getting me down. And then soon after, he got out of jail, and he was playing a show, because he was also in a punk band, which was also very attractive to me. And he was playing a show, and I looked around the show, and I noticed that like I actually wasn't the only 15-year-old girl looking at him the way that I was looking at him. And it was like, wah, wah, wah. And it turned out he had a number of young lovers. And I got home, and I was crushed. And I got home, and there was a letter by the front door when I got home, and I opened the letter, and it was a letter from Kathleen Hanna. She'd written me back, and she told me to dump that fucker and get the fuck out of there. Thank you.
I don't know your name, but you heard my name.